I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. By popular demand, I am going to be showcasing a quick comparison of two watches that filled similar roles in the Jaeger-LeCoultre catalog 11 years apart. Now, on the left is my own watch, which is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Platinum No. 2 Tourbillon, and on the right is a watch that was kindly lent by one of our avid channel viewers and clients. This is the Hybris Artistica series Grand Reverso Tourbillon Squelette. Basically, a modernized, upsized, skeletonized, and engraved version of my watch. Now, the genesis of this comparison came from a question I was asked by one of our channel viewers who wanted to see the two watches side by side and get a comparison. So I'm going to talk a little bit about their background, their features, and then just do a rundown, bullet point by bullet point, of what advantages each has over the other. Now, here's the basics. My watch features what's known as the Grande Taille case, first used in 1991 for the 60th anniversary Reverso. It's considered to be bigger than the classic 38mm lug-to-lug Reverso, but still very much a purist's case size, whereas the watch that you see on the right features a much larger case. Dimensions of each, let's just clarify, are 42mm by 26mm by approximately 9.5 millimeters thick. This watch is approximately 10.5 millimeters thick, but with a lug-to-lug measurement of 48.4 millimeters and a width of 29.9. Not only is it larger, but it is exactly the golden section or golden ratio, long heralded as one of the core elements of the Reverso's appeal. Few of them have exactly reached the ratio of length to width, 1.618 to 1. So you have a watch that is aesthetically awesome before you even get to the métier d'art elements of the movement. So moving forward, my watch was originally built in a series of 500 watches back in 2003. It was the second of the Platinum Reverso series, technically the third Platinum Reverso built, since in between the Platinum No. 1 of 2001 and the Platinum No. 2 of 2003, we had the 70th anniversary, the Septantième of 2002. And yes, that was 1 year late to be the 70th anniversary Reverso, but it took some working. Now, my watch was built in a series of 500, of which I believe fewer than 300 were made. I've never seen a case number above 296, and I do firmly believe that the line was not completed. But in any case, this watch with a series number of 1 of 3 easily takes the cake from mine, regardless of how many were actually made. So 1 of only 3 made, this is as close as you can get to a piece unique among modern Jaeger-LeCoultre references without actually ordering a one-piece custom commission from the manufacturer. Now, it is worth mentioning that my watch is created from Platinum 950, and it features a full platinum deployant, whereas the newer watch in white gold also features a corresponding white gold pin buckle. So in terms of mass on the wrist, mine actually weighs more, whereas the newer watch has greater wrist presence by virtue of its sheer size. Now, in terms of telling time, these watches are set to the same time, and it goes without saying that if you actually want to use your watch as a watch, the Platinum No. 2 definitely has the advantage, whereas the Squelette is spectacular, arguably equally so on each side. Now, one element that bears mentioning, because you can't see it until you rotate my watch over, is that although there isn't a great deal of difference in the color of the movements, both of them look rather silver. Mine is 18 karat white gold, so it's a solid white gold set of bridges and plates against rhodium plated brass, necessary given the degree of skeletonization of this watch's caliber 863 SQ. Mine is the 848. Now, there aren't many differences in terms of outright architecture. Once I flip the Tourbillon Squelette over, you can easily see that both of these watches feature a bridge structure that has been something of a signature of Jaeger-LeCoultre Tourbillon outside the Gyro Tourbillon family and the Sphero Tourbillon. It's designed to look like the caliber 170 observatory chronometer tourbillon built in approximately 26 examples by Jaeger-LeCoultre in the middle of the 20th century. So that's where that bridge structure comes from. Now, in terms of the absolute layout, they're not that different. You can just see more of the caliber 863 SQ, and that's its great gift. It brings the tourbillon fully to the fore. It brings the train fully to the fore. You can see to good advantage the skeletonized mainspring barrel, which actually features spokes cut in the image of the JL logo of the manufacturer. You can see that to good advantage from here. Oddly, my watch also has that, but it's almost completely lost beneath the train wheel bridge. So it's there, but you can just barely see it. A strange decision on the part of the manufacturer, but I do love Easter eggs, and that can be considered one. Now I'm going to swap them around because I feel like only the watch in the foreground is truly getting high-resolution views here. Now, the thing you want to note about these watches, in addition to the sheer difference in size and the sheer difference in artistic disciplines applied, this watch features an engraved as well as skeletonized movement, and it's the engraving that really takes this watch to the next level, because while skeletonizing a movement can be done with a great amount of skill, but nevertheless a certain amount of, I don't want to say routine effort, taking the movement that's already been skeletonized and then engraving it such that the paper-thin metal elements are evacuated to an even greater degree, that is the real brilliance of this watch. And you can see the caliber, the 863, has been expanded in size and then pared down in mass. It's almost a vision of a movement floating in space, almost as if the bridges aren't there. But when you look, the level of engraving, it's what you see on the balance cock of something like a Longa, where an excruciating amount of time and effort has been spent removing material to make it more beautiful. And it's true on both sides. On this side, you can see to good advantage the open barrel. The barrel is completely skeletonized. And so, although this watch does not have a power reserve scale, the Platinum No. 2 does have an interesting coaxial power reserve at center. This watch does feature an open barrel that can be used as a surrogate power reserve scale simply by observing the degree to which the mainspring is coiled. Now, it's also worth mentioning that with the exception of size, skeletonization, material, and engraving, these movements are technically almost identical, to the point that although these watches have different case numbers, and with different metals they have different metal codes, this is how JLC case codes work. You can see my watch right here, 276, and then you'll note 48. 6, the middle number, means platinum. This watch, 273, that's the case code, minus 270. 3 for white gold, and 48. The last number being the same in each case, 48, means that as far as the manufacturer is concerned, from a technical standpoint, these movements are regarded as nearly identical. So while they look dramatically different, their size is dramatically different. Technically, each one is approximately 4 millimeters thick. My watch has 25 joules, the newer one has 23, but each one has a 45-hour manually wound power reserve. Each one is a tourbillon, essentially with a traditional architecture with a conventional center wheel, and each one features a Breguet overcoil hairspring on top of a balance oscillating at 21,600 vibrations per hour. So broadly, these watches, although different in size, material, and separated by 11 model years, are nevertheless mechanically almost identical in the eyes of the manufacturers, engineers, and watchmakers. They have completely different appeal. For the sheer beauty of rare arts practiced at the extremity of their practical limit, you want the Tourbillon Squelette. If you want a watch with greater wrist presence, you want the Tourbillon Squelette. If you want a watch that incorporates surprise and delight features like the sunray base to the carriage versus the conventional engine-turned perlage of the Platinum No. 2. If you want unparalleled exclusivity, you want the Tourbillon Squelette. If you want a little bit more platinum, if you want a heavier watch on the wrist, if you want a white gold movement, if you want a watch with a power reserve, and if you want a watch that, well, frankly, is practical as a watch and actually tells time, you might want to select the Platinum No. 2.